James Harden continued bringing the hurt. The Beard recorded his 15th straight game with at least 30 points, the second longest streak since the NBA-ABA merger. Plus, Luka loves crunch time, and it loved him back in Minnesota. See how the rookie took over late against the Wolves. It's all part of Game Time, presented by State Farm. Glad to have you with us. Here from our Atlanta studio, I'm Matt Weiner, Sekou Smith, David Griffin right over there. Plenty of stars ahead, and we also look ahead at Saturday's Thunder Spurs rematch coming up. Feels like they're still playing the last time around, but they will get to it again. Let's start with the champs, the Bulls at Oakland to meet the Warriors. You probably remember the first meeting when Klay Thompson set a new NBA record with 14 made threes. The Dubs put up 149 in that win. All that in the back of the Bulls' minds as they arrived in Oakland. Of course, Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen weren't available for that game. That could make a huge difference, right?
Well, or theoretically.
Or not.
Klay can hit them without the headband, apparently, as well.
Well, Klay hit their first 9 points on threes, and it was 9-2 before folks had gotten warm in their seats. This is just over a minute.
I mean, that was 28, 30 feet, no dribble.
Flashbacks indeed for the Bulls, watching Klay crank up like this earlier. I'm sure they were worried.
Warriors were up by 20 about 7 minutes into the game, and then Jonas Jerebko closes out the first with that, and it's 43-17 as they head to the second quarter. Thompson, step back. Yep.
Not as efficient. That took 2 dribbles.
It's gotten into him. Steph enjoys it.
Half his nightly total, isn't it?
Steph had a lot to enjoy on this night. Kevin Durant pulls up from the mid-range. Oh, yeah, him. Also still good. Golden State up 21 at the half. Curry, corner 3 in transition, and it's a big one. Passes Jason Terry for third all-time on the career made threes list. He would finish with 28 on the night. Curry to Durant at the top of the key for 3. He had 22 to go with 4 rebounds and 5 assists. Thompson for 3.
If you're the Bulls, you're just picking your poison. Which one of these sharpshooters do you want to leave open or watch pass to another one to make a shot and demoralize you?
And as long as they want to keep moving the ball and passing to one another, you're not going to guard these guys.
So the Warriors put up 295 points in sweeping the 2-game series from Chicago. They've won 5 of 6 overall. Over the 2 games, Klay Thompson knocked down 21 of 35 from three-point range. Bulls are happy not to see him or Steph Curry moving forward. Steph, number 3 now on the all-time threes list. He spoke about it with Kareth Burke.
You're holding that game ball because you're now 3rd on the NBA's all-time 3 list. Ahead of you is Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, guys that you said you appreciate. What's it like being in this company as one of the all-time greats?
I mean, they set the standard. Their careers are unmatched in terms of stretching the imagination of three-point line and doing it consistently and having the longevity. So it's special to be right behind those guys. Obviously, I want to continue that chase and putting together a long career, but growing up, watching the game, I always looked at those 2 guys as the guys that set the standard, so to be right next to them is pretty special.
And you reached this mark in just 10 seasons in the league. If you keep going at this pace, you'll have the record and more. What would that mean to you?
I'll let you know when it happens.
Well, of course, that could be sooner rather than later. There are the raw numbers now. Curry with 2,285. Look at the game totals and where he's at on that all-time list. Roughly half the total of Reggie Miller and Ray Allen on average.
Yeah, and Steph talks about growing up looking at those 2 guys at the top of that, list as kind of those all-time great three-point shooters that everybody else points to. Well, he is halfway there in terms of games played, basically. He's already there in the minds of everybody. I mean, how many people tell you now that Steph Curry is the greatest shooter they've ever seen in this league? And you look at the variety of ways that he can get shots off where on the floor. Most guys have one sweet spot or a couple of different spots. Like Steph's, his range is everywhere. And I think to see a guy master the craft the way he has and do it at this highest level, at a championship level, makes it really special. But then you think about just what kind of impact he and Klay as shooters have on this Warriors team. Last 5 games, they're averaging 132.2 points. I mean, getting back to that swashbuckling fast-paced, minded Warriors team. I know we've always talked about their defense, but this is what they do better than anybody else. It's unleash these shooters and let them go to work on people.
Well, this was their identity. They've changed the league, really. Steph Curry has single-handedly changed what is considered a good shot in the NBA. They've changed the way the league plays, and Thompson's just as much a part of it, which the Bulls will reluctantly but will readily tell you he's a problem as well.
So Del Curry shot 40.2% from three, making 1,245 threes. And he's not even the record holder in his own household. Klay Thompson grows up watching Michael Thompson play. Klay is the leader in his household from a three-point shooting standpoint. What makes these guys so special, look at Steph here. Get it to Klay, I've got a screen. You're talking about Steph Curry, one of the greatest shooters in the history of our league, probably the best three-point shooter in the history of our league, and he's setting a screen on the play and can't wait to do it. Here we've got the handoff to Klay. Again, no dribble, splash. In this one, they actually get a little piece of him on the screen, but he shows off and takes two full dribbles. Another illegal screen that is allowed, and the defender has to chase him. It's actually a good contest, but Klay's 6'7". He's going to shoot over the top of a good contest, even when there isn't an illegal screen to bump them off. And this is something that I think you talked about Steph Curry changing the way we look at what a good shot is and isn't. That Warriors offense has also changed the way that a lot of teams play with the guard splits and the different things they do with those guys. Everybody's looking to have two elite shooters and bigs that can set screens and actually make contact on a screen. It's a very rare gift, and it's something that's not talked about enough with the three-point shooting they have. They actually execute screen setting better than every other team in the league.
Speaking of bigs, in addition to those weapons, and Kevin Durant, who had a 20-point game for the 29th time in his last 30 games, in a week or so, DeMarcus Cousins is going to be rolled out by the Golden State Warriors as yet another offensive weapon. All right, the Lakers brought their two-game win streak to Salt Lake City on Friday night. Kyle Kuzma had 41 against the Pistons on Wednesday. A lot of responsibility on Donovan Mitchell these days with all those point guards sitting out, and he's ready for it. Knocks down the three. Here comes Brandon Ingram. Oh.
I love seeing him attack the rim if I'm a Laker fan. You really want to see Brandon start to find himself a little bit while LeBron and Rondo are out.
Sexiest two of his 15 on the night. Here's Mitchell. Funky Euro drive, and then brings the funk against JaVale McGee.
This is the Donovan Mitchell we saw at this time last year. Really take off, attacking, from both outside and then attacking the rim and finishing over bigger guys.
That's big game hunting. That's what that is. On McGee, and a 16-point lead by Utah. Lakers on the run, as they're wont to do, but that's turned away by Mitchell. And on the other end, Rudy Gobert. Somebody translate cherry picking into French for me. Gobert had 12 and 18 rebounds. Third quarter, it's Mitchell. Knocks down the three. And a step-back three here. He's 20 of 39 from the great beyond over his last 6 games in January, averaging just under 26 points per game. With the win, Utah is just a game back of the Lakers for the 8th spot in the West.
Yeah, this is where it gets really dangerous, in this stretch before All-Star and certainly after the stretch run after All-Star weekend. The West is so compact in the standings. You have no games to give away. You got to get everyone you can get. You got to be careful right now if you're the Lakers and a lot of these other teams.
Lakers 3-6 now since LeBron went down with a groin injury. You'll see them on Sunday against his old club, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Coverage starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time right here on NBA TV. That's Sunday. This is now on Game Time. Coming up, Smitty takes you through the best of the week under the rim. Plus, the Raptors exacted some revenge on Brooklyn Friday night. That and much more on the way.
Tonight in Salt Lake City, there's LeBron James. He and the 8th place Lakers will run. Well, he won't, but the 9th place Jazz are going to host them in this game. These two teams are separated by 2 games. in the West standings. Utah wins tonight. It's a 1-game separation. LA wins tonight. It is a 3-game separation, a big one from Salt Lake City. And right now, we welcome in live on Arena Link, Lakers sideline reporter for Spectrum Sports Net, Mike Trudell. And Mike, it is great to see you. We know that LeBron James is going to miss at least the next 3 games, but he might return next Thursday against OKC on TNT. Are you optimistic about his chances of playing in that game?
Rick, first of all, it's great to see you, man, as always. And I'll just tell you what everybody else knows, or maybe doesn't know is a better way to put it, about LeBron, and that's whether or not he'll return in that game. We do know he's going to be reevaluated after these next 3 games, and you would theoretically think if all went well, maybe he can return for game action, but he is yet to practice yet, right? They haven't started to ramp things up. We don't have any reports of progress in that sense, other than the fact that he, of course, is improving just by not being out there in games. So it is a little bit of a wait-and-see mode, Rick, as the Lakers try to survive in what you mentioned is a very tight Western Conference playoff race.
No doubt about it, man. And what have the Lakers learned? I mean, you're with them every game and seeing it up close and personal. What have they learned about themselves in these 8 games without LeBron?
You know, so they're starting to get better. I think you have to put it into context as well that it's not just LeBron that's out. It's Rajon Rondo, who is kind of a secondary leader and playmaker, and then they missed Kyle Kuzma for 2.5 games when he had a lower back contusion, and we saw what Kuz did last game when he dropped 41 in 3 quarters. So that was certainly a key additional piece. When you have 3 guys out, it just makes things tricky. But the simple fact of it, Rick, offense is what's dropped off completely without LeBron. They ranked 28th in the league in offensive efficiency since LeBron went out on Christmas Day. Defense, on the other hand, has been great. They've actually been the 2nd best defensive team in the entire NBA over the course of that time frame. So that's what we've seen. LeBron has been that important to the offense. And, you know, you got to shout out Rondo a little bit, too, for what he'd been doing.
No doubt. Great point and great stats right there as well. Now, Luke Walton recently told Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball to play with more passion. How was that message received?
Well, he said it after the Minnesota game, which was one of the worst games of the season for the Lakers. They weren't in it really right from the start. And Rick, you know, especially for a couple of Minnesota guys like you and myself, probably watched that one. And as things went for the next couple of games, though, they really answered the bell. That was for a tough road win in Dallas, where the Mavs had been 15-3. And then, of course, the Lakers beat Detroit rather handily at home. And the way that Luke put it into context was, look, he always expects more from these players. It wasn't so much a criticism and a critique, although, of course, he was criticizing the last couple of games that they had put in. But when LeBron went out, that changed what the expectation was for those 2 players. And sometimes it takes a bit of an adjustment time from when you're just you're operating under a certain context, when LeBron's on the court, and then when he's not, you do have to change the approach. And Luke went to the public, and so far they've responded. And look, they're going to need him to do so again tonight if the Lakers are hopeful to get a win in a tough place to play right here in Utah.
Mike, really appreciate it, man. You know I'll be texting you in the days to come for intel on your Lakers. Enjoy the game, safe travels, and we'll talk soon.
Hey, my pleasure. Always good to see you, man.
That's my dude right there, Mike Trudell, Rick Kamla, Steve Smith, and Brendan Haywood here on Game Time Live, presented by State Farm. Now, Kyle Kuzma dropped a career-high 41 Wednesday in 29 minutes. It was a wide score, so his services weren't required in the 4th quarter. Last year, 16.1. This year, 18.8. Put his ascension into perspective.
Well, what I like about it is sometimes you score some points when you're not winning games. And now he's added to his point average, Brendan and Rick, and they're winning games. And he works on his game. He has the mindset and the size and ability to be a great guy to play off a guy like LeBron James or even off Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball before LeBron got there. This kid is a scorer's mentality. And I look at him as, yes, he doesn't pass a lot, Brendan and Rick, but this kid is a scorer, and it doesn't bother him. I am what I am. I play hard. I work on my game. I've been knowing him and seeing him since he was young in high school. This kid has that type of ability.
I think it's amazing when you look at his ascension. I think what's really, truly amazing about it is the fact that he wasn't supposed to be the guy. The guy that was supposed to make the big jump and be LeBron James' number 2 was Brandon Ingram. And when you look at how it's gone, he hasn't stepped on anybody's toes. He's just maximized his potential, and he's taken advantage of opportunities when they presented himself to them, like LeBron James being out right now. Now it's my chance to go for 40 and help us win a basketball game. That's something he might not have a chance to do when LeBron is there. So I look at him taking advantage of opportunity, the way he plays, the confidence, and I think that we're going to see him play even better because this was a guy that shot 36% from 3 last year. This year, he's only shooting 30% from three, and he's taking 6 threes a game. So that's a low percentage to take that amount of threes. We know he's going to catch up to that number that he shot last year at some point, and when he does, look for his scoring average to possibly go over 20.
And also, Brendan, he's going to have to rebound the basketball better. At that size, I can't come up with them 1 and 2s. He's going to have to get on the glass at that size.
And I know Brendan was clocking the rebound column in that 41-point game the other night.
Well, he normally averages about 6 rebounds. So I'm just going to say that's one of those anomaly games where he had it going, and he was just focusing strictly on his offense. When LeBron comes back.
Kuz, go get on the glass.
Hey, when LeBron comes back, he'll be back to rebound again.
On the glass.
Look, Blake Griffin played 37 minutes the other night and had no rebounds, all right? It happens sometimes.